After the sonohysterogram, when the painkiller wore off, I was uncomfortable. My belly was cramping. It was bloated, like out hard and solid. And my navel was very, very sensitive. So like to even touch it with the tip of my finger sent a shock straight through like all the muscles in my abdomen. It was, the aftermath was crap. Um, which is funny because the notes had said only 4% of people tend to get these after effects. Trust me to being there, but now I have a story to tell. So, hey. The report then for the sonohysterogram is what revealed that I have adenomyosis. Prior to 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, I had no idea. I had never heard the word adenomyosis or adenomyosis, whatever the hell. I had no idea what it was. I had probably only heard about endometriosis in the last year or two. So to know that I had a little cousin was news to me. But it explained I have this underlying adenomyosis. And I Googled it and it said that's when the tissue from the lining of the uterus, so from the endometrium, grows into the muscle wall of the uterus, so into the myometrium, and as a result, the uterus may double or triple in size. Well, that explains why I have a uterus bigger than my fist. That explains why my uterus is bigger than what they say is the standard. And from what I read, symptoms include heavy menstrual bleeding, severe cramps, abdominal pressure, bloating, painful sex, trouble getting pregnant. And I asked the doctor, well, what can I do about adenomyosis? What should I do? And they explained that the only option for adenomyosis is a hysterectomy, so to remove the uterus entirely. But if I don't have any symptoms associated with it, then there's no reason to do that. Now, here's the thing when it comes to the fibroids, I also have to make the decision, do I want to have a hysterectomy? Do I want to remove my uterus entirely, just keep the ovaries for the hormone balancing? Or do I want to have a myomectomy, which is the removal of the fibroids, but keeping the uterus? Those were the decisions put before me. So the funny thing is, I had joked many times about being willing to have a hysterectomy whenever I had discomfort during periods before. But now that this decision was set in front of me, all of a sudden I thought, I might want to keep it. I might want that uterus, you know? So that was funny. So I discussed then the option of the myomectomy, getting rid of the fibroids, keeping the uterus. And I learned that because of the size and the location of the fibroids that I have, getting a laparoscopic myomectomy was not an option for me. So that is when you get those small vertical incisions, and they go in with some kind of tubey tool and do everything, cut them off and break them down or whatever. And you just end up with a little scar or three little scars on your belly. That's not an option for me. They said that I would have to get an open surgery, so a cut straight across, like around the hairline, similar to what you would see with a C-section. So that's what I'm now preparing for. And then because I have this intrauterine polyp or fibroid, so the entire time that I'm talking to the doctors in Toronto, they're saying it's either a polyp or a fibroid. They don't know. But the doctor spoke to me when we were discussing surgeries. Doctor in Toronto spoke to me about having this hysteroscopic polypectomy. So he was saying that if this is the shape of the uterus and I have this polyp in the top of it, they have to go in through the vagina. They would go in and clip it or twist it or something like that and take it out. And this was a separate procedure from the myomectomy. But I've since talked to two other gynecologists, so I have some more perspective on that. Now, if you have access to your imaging and to your reports, you learn a whole lot about yourself. When you cross-reference one report and another, there's a lot of room for you to ask questions. I saw that one of my reports said that my uterus was anteverted, and then another one said that it was in a military position, so tilting forward versus upright. And I said to the gynecologist, well, huh? Like, what's the truth? And she explained to me that the uterus can move. So it was perfectly normal. She said that what would be strange is if it went from tilting forward to tilting backward, because that's a big change. But to go from forward to upright, it was pretty normal. So now here's the kicker. So the gynecologist in Toronto said to me, okay, well, we understand you want the myomectomy. We'll put you on the wait list. Sir, I want this thing out. No, yeah, I went from a lady to a gentleman. Um, and he said to me, well, the wait list is about a year. We'll call you in about a year's time. So I'm supposed to just persist in pain and discomfort and having trouble with my bladder and my balls and sex for a year? Fatigue for a year? Not being able to exercise comfortably for a year? That did not sit well with me. But anyhow, I walked away and said, let me just mull this over in my head. I got to figure this out. And of course, there's a question of, well, the question wasn't really raised in me, it was raised to me. What if I want to have children? And what if I want to bear children? What's the impact of having these fibroids on that? And I asked that question to the gynecologist and was told that I would need to get the intrauterine polyp or fibroid removed before getting pregnant, but it was perfectly okay to get pregnant with the other fibroids, the ones that were subseral and whatever. But the one that was inside the uterine cavity itself needs to come out first.